Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Fly Like an Eagle podcast. We are live at 2:54 on a Thursday afternoon, right before the Sixers take it to Game 7 up in New York. We are very excited about that, but we're going to talk about the draft last week and the two studs we ended up with in rounds 1 and rounds 2. Quinyon Mitchell in round 1 and Cooper DeJean in round 2. I had Cooper DeJean. Actually, both of us wanted Cooper DeJean in round 1, but the fact that he fell to us right in our laps, we can't ask for anything better than that. It was just one of those starstruck experiences watching that last week. Now, I'm going to start off by saying this. I did a live reaction to the Quinyon Mitchell pick, and I was actually kind of not disgusted, but kind of displeased by it because, yes, you do take best player available, but in the moment, it is a guy from Toledo. He did guard Marvin Harrison Jr. once at Ohio State, did pretty well on him, but the Ohio State quarterback's kind of buns, so I don't know what to make of the whole taking Quinyon Mitchell as the best player available, but I will take Cooper DeJean right after him, day by day, night by night, and I'll be happy with either pick. So if one's a bust, the other will flourish. If they both flourish, we have something there. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in Scotty. I want his opinions on the draft last week, and let's get it.
Absolutely, Kyle. Happy to be on today. A lot to discuss for sure. I thought this draft was amazing. I loved the first round pick. Obviously, we're going to break everything down pretty much, almost everything about the draft. And Quinyon Mitchell was the number one corner on a lot of people's boards. I know that you initially, and I mean, you're talking about a Toledo corner. I don't think it's that. I think it's maybe you're just scarred from this franchise drafting corners, honestly, because there's quite literally nothing wrong with him. The only thing that I could critique is his size because I'm just not a huge fan of shorter corners in general. But this dude is here to play. He's not here to fuck around. And then, like you said, we got Cooper DeJean moved up for him in the second round. Did not expect them to take back-to-back corners. I don't think anyone did. And also the fact that they stayed put at 22 and got Quinyon Mitchell. They have a chance to change the trajectory and the reputation of the Eagles picking in the early 20s, which would be a good thing. But this is exactly what we wanted, like we said. Of course, I was a big fan of Kool-Aid, but obviously I recognize that Quinyon is a better talent. And again, two corners defense, no O lineman in the first round. This is exactly what we wanted. And now our cornerback room, actually our entire secondary, is looking kind of promising with CJ Gardner-Johnson, Darius Slay, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. You still have James Bradbury, who hopefully can become at least average again. And then you have also, Isaiah Rodgers, which is still a huge mystery, but it's something that we haven't seen, and he has started. So I'm definitely a fan. This is exactly what I would have done if I was Howie and the Eagles. Yeah. Do I like one more than the other? Safeties are definitely fun. Now, the thing is, and I also saw this being talked about on Undisputed, which I think we should get into next week, about how the white cornerback does not exist in the NFL. Cooper DeJean's natural position is safety. So I think he's obviously going to end up eventually playing safety. I would love to see him as at corner. But again, that's something to talk about down the road. This is just our initial reaction. You can touch on that a little bit if you want to.
Right.
But yeah, overall, loved this draft. And we can continue to break it down if you want to respond to anything I just put out there.
He's definitely a tool. You're going to want to use him in the secondary as multiple options, but at the same time, you knew you were going to get that, the whole white cornerback in the NFL draft. Like, why? What is that? Who was it? It was Jeff McClain who asked him, "What does it feel like to be a white cornerback being drafted this high. It hasn't happened that often. Now, natural reaction is, yeah, I mean, it's not a bad question to ask, but like right there, maybe it is a bad question to ask because even I was saying that in the offseason. I was like, yeah, I do like Cooper DeJean, but I was also telling my buddy, I was like, he's a white guy. I mean, there's something about white athletes, especially at the NFL level, that you don't see them as quick or as physical or as up in your face as anyone else. And that's just the truth. That's not being stereotypical. That's
at the corner position.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like, and you don't see it much. So it's like, I like his talent. I like the fact that he played at Iowa in the Big Ten, where it's really tough to play, especially in that conference. But I was looking at him as a first-round pick, and this is why maybe he slid a little bit, because people had some of that rareness to it, to where they wanted a polished player, that guy from the SEC, maybe someone that played at a championship level, and someone they'd like to take before him. That's why he probably slid. But I think we have an absolute winner with Cooper DeJean based off of what I've seen. And the fact that he fell all the way to the second round, you can't hate the pick because he was a first-round pick. And Quinyon Mitchell, listen, I had my thoughts about it. I had my opinions about it. But at the end of the day, he's a Philadelphia Eagle. He loves it here already. He was already saying the Eagles chant. And the fact that he's a tough, physical cornerback, and he played against some of the best players at Toledo, not consistently, but he played against Marvin Harrison Jr., who was the top 5 pick in this year's draft. And he held his own against him. So I would love to see what he does at this level. And I'm going to trust what the Eagles have done. And the fact that we got DeJean right after him just makes me feel a little bit better about it. So at first I gave the Mitchell pick a C. But then when we got Cooper DeJean, I turned that into a B+, like pretty quickly.
No, it's an A. It's an A for me. Also, we know how crazy social media is. I don't even know if you read any of the comments when Quinyon was, as soon as he was drafted, they're like, come on, kids, smile, act like you're happy to be here, blah, blah. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like, the kid's probably nervous as hell. He's young as hell. He's on a national stage, the biggest moment in his entire life. Like, you don't know how you would act. You're, and then if you're too, like, crazy, happy, crying, extroverted, you're going to get criticized for that. So it's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. Let's just take this at face value. He was a great, exceptional, literally rated the number 1 corner on people's boards.
Yep.
And, I truly feel like they don't miss on number 1 prospects as much as they used to. You know what I mean? Like, if this dude was legit number 1, number 2 corner, and, take it or leave it, Mel Kiper's opinion, whoever that literally makes millions to study these players all year round, the entire draft, them saying that and putting their name on it, that's their reputation on the line too. Yeah. You know what I mean? And
that he was wrong a lot, though.
What's up?
You're also wrong a lot, though. Like, I mean,
are they wrong for their number 1 prospect in each position?
Well, they also had Jamarcus Russell, like, unanimously across the board being the number 1 pick overall.
That's what I'm saying now. That was like, what, like 2008, 2007?
Yeah, it was around then.
Also, I think quarterback is the hardest position to project more than any other. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you had Caleb. Let's touch on that for a second. We had Caleb Williams, who was Mr. Drama Queen at USC. People were afraid to take him, but he's going to be a stud. You had Jaden Daniels, who was the Heisman Trophy winner, going to Washington. And then you have Drake May, who's kind of a raw talent going to the Patriots, but they love those type of quarterbacks, the system quarterbacks who throw in the pocket. They love them. And then, obviously, J.J. McCarthy goes to Minnesota Vikings. And then Bo Nix goes to Denver. So those 5 quarterbacks right there, you couldn't really miss on any one of them because they were the top brands, top names talked about the whole offseason. So,
who right there, thought that they all would go? We didn't even address that. That's how the Eagles ended up with Quinyon Mitchell. Like, that's kind of crazy. What was it? Was it 6 or 7 that went in the top 13, 12?
It was 6 because I forgot about Michael Penix too, and he went to that
Oh God,
Yeah.
we got to talk about that soon too. That's crazy.
The Falcons are a worthless franchise. Let's be
But
honest. Like,
but
I mean,
let's save that because we got a lot to talk about today. I think
true.
we should definitely save that for
Hmm.
sure. But that's definitely a very interesting topic to discuss.
Hmm.
All right, so moving on. So out of all the draft picks, who do you think is going to make the biggest impact this season and then, in their whole career, or the biggest impact on the Eagles, overall?
In Vic Fangio's defense, I'm gonna go with Jackson Hunt. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I feel like where they picked him was perfect for where Vic Fangio rated him as the best player in the draft. When a defensive coordinator says something like that, and he's went through a lot of players and a lot of schemes with that within his life, especially at the NFL level, I'm
What, like
excited for this player.
30 years, right, of experience, right?
Yeah, I think he's going to be making an immediate splash. Cooper DeJean, it might take him some time. Quinyon Mitchell, he might be polished, he might not be. We never know. But as natural talent, I think it's going to be Hunt because I think he's going to fit right in. I, it's just a vibe. He went to Christian, Texas, which I've never heard of before. But when I saw this guy play, this guy's motor is out of this world. And the fact that so many teams passed on this guy and Vic Fangio thinks the way he does about him, I think we have a winner, man. I really do. And I love the fact that we got Jeremiah Trotter as well. But that was more of like a throw a bone to a dog type of pick. They wanted they know they wanted the fan base wanted him, and we got him. So
They traded up for him too.
yeah.
For me, I'm gonna go with Quinyon Mitchell just because I think he is the most polished. You were asking if he was or wasn't. I think he can be, the combination in between like an Asante Samuel and trying to think of someone else who's pretty physical. I don't say like Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, but those are kind of like the vibes I'm getting a little bit. In his prime when he was like really good for the Cardinals.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what we need. We need a corner that's going to be here for a long time. That's young.
Well,
Slay's about to retire too. So,
I like your comparison of the Asante Samuel. I mean, he is a ball hawk. You look at his film and he goes up for the ball for sure. So I like that. I don't think I would compare him to anyone else, honestly. I think we have our Asante Samuel, and Cooper DeJean's more of that physical guy. So I like him more as maybe I'm trying to compare him to somebody. I can't really do it right now. Did you see his basketball highlights, by the way? He's a fucking beast.
I'm sorry. I lost connection with you. Can you say that again?
No, I was saying Cooper DeJean. Did you see his basketball highlights?
Oh, he is extremely, extremely athletic.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think he's going to come in and do work immediately. He's going to be the physical piece on this defense for sure. But yeah, I'm going to stick with Jackson Hunt. I think he's going to be the most polished piece for sure.
I would agree. I mean, that is such a steal to find in the third round if you can actually find a starting end. I would love that. So I think he's a raw prospect. That's the only reason why. Like, I don't know if he would start on every single team in this league. I think there's definitely an opportunity for him to do that here because, we have aging Brandon Graham. And that guy from the Jets who again wasn't a full-time starter.
Bryce Huff.
So, yeah, Bryce Huff. Speaking of Jeremiah Trotter, he was going to be my number 2, and we're also going to get into him a little bit. Drafted like father, like son, Jeremiah Trotter Sr. Now we have Junior.
Cute story.
I think he could also possibly make an impact just because we know, number one, we never have any linebackers, and if we do, they always get hurt. So I think he could somehow end up on the field for sure. Yeah. And if he is undersized, but if he has like a motor and he has any redeeming qualities, like he will make an impact just because we know how linebacker goes here,
I mean, do you remember those paper fans that they put at the ballpark when COVID was happening?
What? Oh,
I
was
think
Jeremiah
that was more
Trotter
of
one
a
of
redeemable quality than most of our linebackers. So
them? Especially last year. I just keep thinking back when they had Ben Van Sumeren playing against Dallas, like literally like practice squad.
yeah, and the one guy that we had, TJ Edwards, we just let go to the Bears. It just sucked.
Yeah, and they didn't even pay that much for him, but they did bring in Devin White, who I don't know if who's being a little overhyped right now, probably. But
Let's be real. Let's be real. This fan base overhypes everybody. Devin White
yeah,
was
but
one of the
I feel like the media is doing it too now. Like even the national media,
yeah,
they're overhyped.
Devin White was benched last year by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what to feel about him, but like you said, any linebacker is better than what we've had. So,
Absolutely, 1,000%. So
yep.
yeah, do you so like you said, it's a cute story with Trotter Jr. Do you think he has potential to like get a second contract here or somehow become the starter? Or is it just
I mean, there's always.
Is it a Casey Matthews, Clay Matthews situation? Like where are you projecting?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, the way I see it, it seems like he's a hard worker. It seems like he's smart. Everyone and their mother gave it an A for draft grade. So yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go as far to say he's going to get a second contract because that's 4 years away. But at the end of the day, anytime you have the name of Jeremiah Trotter like at the back of your jersey and you do perform well, he definitely has better pull than anyone else's team would, especially as a rookie. So yeah, we'll see what happens. He needs to perform in training camp first. Fourth through seventh rounders, they're naturally cut. So I mean, those are just side pieces there for training camp. Let's see how they perform against the speed, and then you can tell right off the bat if they're cut out for it or not. And I guess we'll see within the first couple of weeks if he is.
I would agree. I definitely I have not high expectations, but I'm hopeful. And I think there's a possibility that he's going to contribute, at least on special teams this year. I think that he could somehow be. I don't want to say I don't even know. I'm going to put my foot in my mouth and say something crazy like Brian Bremen or Chris Maricos on special teams. But I think we will remember his name more than just for being Jeremiah's son after this season. I'll just say that.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to be his own person. That's the only thing I never liked about like father like son. Their name's always attached to their dad. So you had Steph Curry attached.
You mean like the first name? Yeah, right.
Like Steph Curry was always attached to Del Curry in Davidson, but then Steph Curry is the much better player, so he's always going to be known as Steph Curry. So I mean that's pretty much what Jeremiah Trotter Jr. has to turn into for him to get out of the footsteps of his dad, in my opinion.
What turn into who? His dad? Or you said Steph Curry Jr.
Better than his dad.
Well, that's probably not going to happen. Let's
It's
just put that. Yeah, let's just put that out there. That's like saying, well, we just know somehow T.O.'s son went undrafted. I think that he started playing football later in life, later in his career. But like the odds of him T.O.'s son being better than T.O., like it just we can't like fantasize or put that in our head. Like, like doesn't make any sense. It's not logical.
I mean, T.O. looks like he could play today. So
he's probably still trying to, right?
Yeah, he needs that money.
Speaking of T.O., that's a great transition to our wide receiver. That's controversial at times for no reason. A.J. Brown gets a contract extension on day one of the draft last Thursday, 1 week ago. He signs a 3-year, $96 million extension, making Brown the highest paid receiver in the league, including a $19.875 million signing bonus, $84 million guaranteed, an average annual salary of $32 million. This is exactly what I wanted to see, exactly what this man deserves. Who knows? Like, I've heard a lot of rumors now. Was him wanting a new contract part of the issues last year in the locker room, or the spat with Jalen Hurts? We saw Devontae get paid a few weeks ago. So whatever. If it was the issue, obviously I'm not the biggest fan of that. I mean, there has to be way more to it than just him wanting more money. I don't think that he's that selfish or like unintelligent, because I think he comes off like, I watched his press conference a little bit, and I think he's a super smart dude. I think he's also like emotionally intelligent. He's not like a total dickhead or like, so I love this move. I think it's definitely well deserved. So happy they didn't trade him or whatever the hell the bogus rumors were. And he's probably our best player on the team, if not top 3.
I mean, I would probably, in my honest opinion, I'd probably go Saquon Barkley, but
what?
Yeah, no, he is. You'll see this year.
Oh my God! Barkley, I don't know what you have against AJ Brown.
I don't have anything against him. I'm saying all around gifted, talented. AJ Brown was picked in the later rounds. Saquon Barkley was picked number 2 overall as a running back for a reason.
What has Saquon really done in the league so far?
Because he was on the Giants. He single-handedly got the Giants to the playoffs. 1,300 total yards behind that offensive line. Like, come on, dude. Like, this guy is going to shut up a lot of people this year. And there's a reason why I've always wanted him. Now, talent-wise, I'd agree. A.J. Brown is top 3 in the Philadelphia Eagles right now. Probably top 2. Number 1 is Saquon Barkley. He just is. And the fact that we got him is going to show you we're going to be one of the best offenses ever this year. Ever.
The biggest and the easiest way to shut down your argument is wide receiver is so much more valuable than a running back and has such a bigger effect on the game.
But a wide receiver who could catch is even more valuable.
Are you saying that he can't catch A.J. Brown?
No, I'm saying that A.J. Brown's a wide receiver.
Oh, you're saying that Saquon.
I'm saying that Saquon Barkley is a running back who can catch and block. He's a Christian McCaffrey.
I mean, I will agree that he's going to be our best running back since LaShawn McCoy. But like, if you look back, our offensive line, they made DeAndre Swift a Pro Bowler. They made Miles Sanders a Pro Bowler. The past 2 years, our running backs have somehow made the Pro Bowl.
So what do you think Saquon's going to do behind this offensive line?
I don't know. Like, is there a bigger ceiling? That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I feel like if the team didn't have A.J. Brown, they just would not be as good as they are. Like, they just wouldn't.
Definitely helps in the system for sure. He makes more players available on the field. Especially when he's getting. Yeah, exactly, and I agree with that. But having Saquon Barkley, you're going to see that this team's going to be offensive heavy. Like, I mean, I don't know how many 3-and-outs we're going to have this year, to be honest with you. I really don't.
I mean, yeah, you could say, all right, we're getting off topic here, but you could say Saquon was on the Giants, but what'd you say? We always say, I'm not like, I love having Saquon here. I respect him as a player. I think he's can be a generational talent, but I don't remember. I wasn't scared of playing Saquon on the Giants. Like, I don't have like a highlight reel top 10 moments in my head of Saquon. Like, do you even like what's one play that you even remember that he made?
Because he's all they had. Like, look at the wide receivers they had with them. Look at the tight ends they had with them. Look at the quarterback they had with them. Look at the offensive line they had with them. Look at the defense they had with them. Like, you come here.
Look at the kicker and the head coach and the punter, right?
Yeah, exactly. look at the whole fucking team. Like, come on.
Look at that owner. Look at that rainy stadium right in the middle of a big parking lot.
With the disgusting turf field that caused 2 of his injuries.
Oh my God, that's terrible though, that field.
Yeah, we play on grass here. It's going to be
okay, but so to that point, wouldn't he have stood out more and I would remember more memorable moments about him?
No, Because if you can't run behind a good offensive line and have a decoy downfield that's actually an exceptional wide receiver, you're not going to get as many yards as you think. And the fact that he got 1,300 total yards in the year they went to the playoffs is mind blowing because they had nothing, like literally nothing. They would dump it off to him in the back. And they would know that the ball is going to him and he would still gain yards. That's how good he was. So
All
I'm
right, so are
telling you,
you
man,
saying that he hasn't even like tapped into his like
no.
potential? I mean, he's literally in what 3, 4, 5. This is going to be his what 7th year in the league.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7th?
Yes,
He
so
was
drafted in
picked, he was picked
2018.
in Dallas. So it was 2018. Yep, 7th year in the league. So yes, I think his ceiling is still there. I really do, especially on a team like this. And he's
And
entering the
the
prime of his
and the
career.
only good thing is that in 2020 and 2021 combined, he had like less than 650 yards because I think he was hurt in 2020. He had 34 yards all season rushing.
Yep.
Then 2021, he had 593 yards. So I'm assuming he was hurt a lot of that season too.
Yep.
He played 13 games, but so that's almost like taking 2 seasons off.
Yeah.
Because what did he have? He had 19 carries. What? Go ahead.
He has 3 years of prime with us. That's why we signed him to a 3-year deal. He has 3 years of prime, and then that's it.
And I don't know if you saw Howie saying that, he was hyping up Saquon that they want to run the ball and like how many touches or attempts he wants to give him or whatever. I just think this is going to open up the entire offense. Like we shouldn't even be really like, it's fun to debate this, but I think they're both going to play such a key role, AJ and Saquon. I don't think you need to rely on either one. They're going to complement each other very nicely to wrap this up. But at this point in time, history of the Eagles, the past few years, going to the Super Bowl, winning games, like if they didn't have A.J. Brown and they had Saquon Barkley, I don't think that they would have been as good. I just don't. I think A.J. really, when they made that trade with Tennessee, like the franchise trajectory changed. Like we had Devontae, but like he's a great player, but he's not a number one by himself to me. So if they didn't get AJ Brown, this franchise would not be where it is today. That's just my opinion.
So that's also going to open up a lot down the field for Devonta Smith because I'm going to tell you right now, AJ Brown might be a spectacular player and he might be top 3 on this offense. We don't know, but what this season is going to be very telling of is how good Devonta Smith actually is. Because he's going to have a lot more opportunity, especially with Saquon coming aboard. He's going to have a lot more opportunity with Dallas Goedert finally being healthy, a lot more opportunity with the whole offense shifting as one. And I think Devonta Smith, with his talent and his hands, him being this Heisman Trophy winning wide receiver, which is never heard of, he's going to have the best year of his career this year. Mark it down.
I mean, I agree. I think so. I think Devontae and AJ, I think they're kind of a little disrespected, that wide receiver duo tandem. Yeah. Now, they could be, but again, who are we to talk after how last season ended? Like, we really can't we really can't say much or like stick our chests out. But, past 3 seasons combined, I would say they're right up there with, there's a lot of good receivers in this league. When you think of like Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, that's an insane duo.
Yep.
Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. You got Puka Nacua now with Cooper Kupp. This league is littered with wide receiver talent. It might be one of the best of all time. Would you agree?
I would agree, especially with the whole Nacua and Cooper Kupp and Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. I had Jalen Waddle in fantasy last year. He was good, but with Tyreek Hill, he's even better. So
no, it's great. So we will definitely see. But yeah, again, I think the offense is going to be super, super dynamic. Adding Saquon, I think he can live up to the hype. the highest pedestal, saying is our number one player hasn't even suited up for a game yet. But we will see. I think we got a comment there from Bodie.
Yep, Bodie Davis. The new cornerbacks will definitely have to learn quick in camp, especially against AJ Brown and Devonta Smith. Probably will get toasted at first, and we'll have to adapt quickly. And that you nailed it right on the head, Bodie. That's why when you pick top tier upper echelon talent in the draft, you throw them into the fire as quick as you possibly can. They adapt and they turn into studs their rookie years. Now we'll see who's going to be the better cornerback, Cooper DeJean or Mitchell. Time will tell, but it's always a good luxury to have when you're going against top tier talent in your first camps. So I agree with that.
That's a great point. I didn't even think of that, but that's a lot. So they're coming in. Welcome to the NFL moment for sure, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. So the next thing I wanted to do for us, which people always review the drafts, but it's kind of like we don't know what we're even talking about because it's like we're just giving our initial thoughts.
Yeah.
So I want to do actually a look back on a previous draft so we can actually look back and actually review it because now we've had 3 years. We know information. So it's kind of like I feel like people don't do that enough. So I think 3 years is like the typical good judgment line. So I want to go back to the 2021 draft. How do you feel about that?
Let's do it.
All right. And this is actually a pretty decent draft. Probably one of our best in a while, in my opinion. But so this was the 2021 Eagles draft review. Number one pick. Excuse me. I think we actually traded back, if I don't believe, because I know we got this pick from Dallas. Yeah, we finished 4-11-1. Eagles traded. We moved up. Eagles traded their first round selection, 12th overall, and third round pick to Dallas in exchange for their first round pick, and they took Devonta Smith from Alabama at number 10.
Remember that.
Obviously, we're just talking about Devonta, but all right. So I want to kind of combine this with like draft value, where he was taken, and then the overall player. So, ultimately, what do you think about Devonta Smith, first round, 10th overall in 21?
All right. So here's my thoughts and opinions. You can't go wrong with it because we got Devonta Smith. Now, based off trading upwise, probably a B. Only because you could have stood pat and not given away any value and taken Micah Parsons, So I like the fact that we traded up to get Devonta Smith and take him away from the Giants. I loved when that happened. But getting either one of those players to me would have been like whatever, So
the biggest thing, he was such a need at that time. We had no wide receivers at all.
True.
That's why.
But yeah, as a pick today, I love him. So going anything other than an A would be ridiculous. But like looking back on it, when we could have gotten Micah Parsons, probably a B. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually crazy that Dallas traded back and still got Micah Parsons for sure.
Well, because and the fact that they traded with us should have told you their whole mindset. Because when the hell does Dallas trade with Philly? So they were like, hey, listen, we both want to butcher the Giants. Here you go. And we get the better player. Now, I'm not going to say overall that Devonta Smith hasn't reached those expectations yet or better. Like he has been to a Super Bowl. But Micah Parsons, if he was on this team right now, we'd have an exceptional defense. So I don't know.
Not last year with the secondary, but
yeah, no, probably not. But he wants to be in Philly, and you can tell.
Yeah, he's a weirdo though, right? Something's off about him. Like, where is he from? Where the hell did he actually grow up in Pennsylvania? I gotta look. I keep forgetting. All right, Harrisburg. All right, so Harrisburg. So that's Hershey. He went to Penn State in Happy Valley. So, people that aren't from around here, Harrisburg is like 2 hours from Philly.
It's a very conservative area. So,
Also, how far is it from Pittsburgh?
not very far. I would say it's like 2 hours from Pittsburgh.
So yeah, it's kind of like I want to say the middle of nowhere because you do have like Hershey and actually Harrisburg, somehow the capital of the state for whatever God known reason.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't know. I think he's like I don't know. I feel like you could say he grew up rooting for both teams, if that makes sense, because I could see that happening. It's just weird because apparently he says he's a Cowboys fan
No,
from his
he's a no
childhood.
Philadelphia Eagle fan.
I don't know. I've heard him and say that he grew up rooting for the Cowboys too. So,
Yep.
but he likes the Phillies.
Yeah. He likes the
And it's
Phillies,
like,
the one team that never wins.
and it's also like no one would even be bringing this up if he didn't. He's the one that keeps talking about it. You
That's
know.
like saying you grew up in Dallas and you root for the Sixers. It's really weird.
So yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of it's for attention with his podcast and all that stuff, but like I don't know. I feel like I don't want to say he shouldn't like vent his opinions and what he thinks, but if I was a Cowboys fan, I would want him to like focus on the damn year and being the best player that he could be. Do you agree?
Yep.
I feel like it's a little over the top with podcasts now and talking about whatever.
Well, yeah, because everyone has a voice now, and it's like there are a decent amount of shows out there. I will give you that, but when a show brings your focus from off the field and it makes you look like a dunce, that's when people have a problem with it.
Yeah, I mean, does that happen to Travis Kelce?
No, it doesn't. He
Exactly.
wins Super Bowls.
Yeah. So
He wins Super Bowls and he's dating a billionaire. So I mean, I don't think it's hurting
and
him.
no one thinks about his podcast when he's on the field playing.
And by the way,
Right?
it's more Nathan Kelsey's podcast, not Travis Kelsey's podcast.
Okay, well,
Let's be real with
yeah.
that.
Okay, well, he's still on the show every week, but
Yeah, because he's his brother.
what I'm saying, I feel like Micah, it's like I think they bring up what he said on the podcast during the damn game, which I know that's like a cowboyism, whatever type thing, but like,
Yep.
I don't know. It's just a distraction. It's definitely a distraction for sure.
Absolutely. I agree.
And it's also like he's kind of like trolling the Cowboys fans, saying like Eagles are so lucky or they're so good. Like or like even the year before, he's like, it's not the quarterback, it's because they have such a talented roster. Like, how much shit has he said about the Eagles in the past 2 years? Like, come on. Probably more than our own damn players have said on social media about the team, right?
But it's like at that point, it's like pot meat kettle. I mean, he knows Dak Prescott ain't it, and like he's talking about our quarterback. So I don't get that one.
Yeah, remember when all that Facebook feud with Dak's brother and CeeDee's mom and all that that was weird. Right? That was weird. But good luck to them.
Yeah. People are weird, for sure.
No, they are. Back to the draft review. Devontae Smith. I think that this overall was the best pick at the time, and in hindsight, still hasn't made a Pro Bowl, which is kind of surprising. But like I was just talking about, this league is littered with receivers. But I don't think Jalen Waddle's made a Pro Bowl either, which is even more surprising. It's kind of crazy. But looking around who they could have took besides Micah Parsons, you know, this was definitely the right pick. Devontae Smith, skinny Batman, just kind of like defying the odds because, I mean, he might be one of the smallest receivers of all time, honestly, as far as like body structure goes. And this guy plays the game like I've probably never seen before for someone his size. And again, like his body shape.
Deshaun Jackson.
Not as physical.
No, I agree. I agree. You came back quick with that one.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, I have him right here. Deshaun Jackson. Nope.
That's so funny. But yeah, I love Devontae Smith. blue chip player that is going to be here for a long time. So I would give this pick an A, first round pick. What grade are you going to give this pick?
B.
Yep. Number 2, Landon Dickerson, second round, 37th pick overall. He was drafted as a center coming out of Alabama. Of course, this was the Alabama boys back-to-back picks. And this was actually the Eagles' own pick, believe it or not. There was no trading up, trading down, nothing. I'll let you take the floor with Landon Dickerson.
So I can't go anything less than an A on this one, honestly. I mean, at the time, he did have that ACL injury that kept him out for a little bit, but we did need help on the offensive line. And, they picked him right there. We were in the Super Bowl with him. And, yeah, I mean, I'm going to make it short and sweet for you. I'm going to go A. Not A+, not B-, not B+. I'll go A. I think it was the right pick at the right time. It was one of those picks where you're like kind of like, whatever. It's another offensive line piece. But I'm going to go A. I thought it was the right pick.
Oh, yeah, especially now it's paying off. Now that Kelce's gone, I think this team still had Brandon Brooks at the time back in 2021.
Mr. Scaredy Cat.
You
can't make fun of that.
No. I'm gonna keep going. We don't have that as like that depth that we had, back then. We don't have Jack Driscoll anymore this year. I know we lost another guard. I can't remember. Suo Peta. So and also this guy, I think he made back-to-back Pro Bowls. Let me see. That's impressive. All right, I know the Pro Bowl doesn't mean much anymore, but we know the Pro Bowl is kind of like a popularity contest. Also, but like to be a young player in a position that no one really knows or cares about. Let's be honest, guard, and for you to come into the league, 25 years old, and get 2 back-to-back Pro Bowls. I mean, it's kind of saying something. Yeah, for sure.
That's an A. That's an A for both of us. Let's be real.
Absolutely. So I'm very grateful. I think he's gonna be like such an underrated, underappreciated player today. I hope that he gets more appreciated now that Kelce's gone. Obviously, it's an O-lineman, so they're meant to like just be quiet and do their job, basically. And I feel like Malata might take that Jason Kelce talkative role, or Lane Johnson a little bit. But yeah, Landon Dickerson. I mean, this was a great pick. A+, A+ for me.
Gotcha.
Round 3. This is an interesting one. I'm interested to hear your take. Milton Williams, defensive tackle, Louisiana State. He was picked 73rd overall. This pick was originally the Panthers. And this fucking Wikipedia, I don't even know what they had to give up. I'm trying to find it. Either way, let me hear what you think about Milton Williams.
I mean, he is what he is. I think it was a waste of a 3rd-round pick, especially with how much talent we have on the defensive line as it is. Has only 6.5 sacks as of 2023. We picked him in 2021. 1 forced fumble, 5 pass deflections, and a little bit over 100 tackles. It's a C for me. I feel like with the 3rd-round pick, you have to really make your name. You have to make a stance for yourself. And the fact that we grabbed Jackson Hunt pretty much to replace him, probably, it's a C. I mean, it's nothing special. I felt like this was actually the pick.
They drafted Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis to replace him too, right?
If I can recall, this is the pick that Howie Roseman was going up to get a fist pump, and the guy was like, "Nah, not at this time." Like, he didn't like the pick, and Howie Roseman was like, "Yo, what the fuck, man?" Like, he was just looking around. I think that was the pick, and he came from Louisiana Tech. I think his squatting was outrageous. He had a high motor there, but it's another example of a player that comes from a school that doesn't play tough conferences, and it didn't really translate to the NFL. And if you're gonna waste a third round pick like that, I don't know, just throw it on someone a little bit better and a little bit more polished, and not go for Louisiana Tech. So I'll give it a C. I'll be nice. I'll give it a C.
I'm gonna have to agree with you. Now looking back in this third round, I don't know if you want to pull it up on Wikipedia, but I would. This was not a good. You pull up 2021 NFL Draft third round. It was just not a good. It was not a good round. We'll just say that. You want to know who was a third round pick of the 49ers? Trey Sermon, running back.
Yeah, and he was a good running back out of Ohio State. He actually came here for a little bit. He just never found his wheels at this level.
That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, it is kind of weird. Look, Davis Mills, third round pick, Houston Texans. I mean, now he was actually kind of a decent quarterback, at least. Yeah. He's pretty good backup, you could say.
Kellen Moore.
But yeah, I don't think this was not a good third round at all. Again, third round picks, what should be considered a bust? Honestly, he's a rotational player, and that's more than the 49ers got out of Trey Sermon. And I think when his name has been called, he is kind of like a good run stuffer, yada, yada, yada. I don't know if he was brought in here to be a starter, for sure. And he's obviously not that. So I would say C. I would say C as well because
we're on the same page just because of the lack of talent in the third round. Man, they passed over Nico Collins on Houston.
But are you see this? This is bad. This is a bad third round.
Yeah, but Nico Collins is good for Houston.
Yeah, but again, this was probably, one player.
Pretty much, yeah.
And wait, what? Yeah, where? And wait, where did they even? Yeah, they did pick before that, right? Yeah.
Yep.
All right, moving right along. Fourth round, 123rd overall from the Miami Dolphins. Eagles trade, and this was part of that big trade where the Eagles got that first round pick back, and they kind of screwed the Miami Dolphins somehow. And they took Zach McPherson, cornerback out of Texas Tech. Opinions on him? I know we're kind of getting down to the nitty gritty a little bit.
All right. So the only reason why I won't give this an F is because he did play on our Super Bowl team. So I'll give it a D.
I would say a fourth round pick is pretty high, right?
It's really high. That's
I'm gonna say a D plus. I'm gonna say D plus.
I'm looking at some of these picks, man, that we passed over for him. Amon-Ra St. Brown on Detroit. Come on. Jesus Christ. Tyler Shevin. Rodmore Stevenson on New England. Come on. Man. This is an F. Jesus Christ.
I think you could go F. I mean, the only reason I wouldn't say F because he's still on the roster. It's not like he's cut and he's not terrible, but yeah, that's not saying much. That's definitely a bad fourth round pick.
Amon-Ra St. Brown's probably one of the best wide receivers in the league.
Oh yeah, he's probably gonna be one of the best fourth round picks ever. For sure. Number 5 is interesting. Kenny Gainwell, 150th overall running back from Memphis. What do you give this pick?
Was that 4th or 5th round?
5th.
B minus.
I would agree. That's a really good pick for him. Obviously, he had a nice run in the playoffs for us during the 2022 Super Bowl run. I think this was pretty good value to get him here. And this is kind of, brings the argument to a head where it's you can get a running back the value of running back for sure.
Yep.
I don't know if you want to look at the rest of those picks. I
Yeah.
guess the only one that stands out to me is Marlo Tolotu. I forgot to say his name.
The one that stands out to me, the guy I can't pronounce his name right.
Exactly. Tuipulotu. There we go. He's had a couple of nice little random moments, a couple of nice little random sacks. I feel like it's mostly kind of been in garbage time. But as a 6th-round pick to have any contribution, that's probably like a C for me. But yeah, the rest, either like an NA or I don't really, how are you going to grade 6th and 7th round picks? I don't really.
Yeah, these aren't good.
Yeah, I mean, so what would you give this? It's interesting because I think if you get 3 players out of a draft, I guess it depends how, I don't know. I'm going to say 3 players out of a draft because you're not going to replace your whole roster. It's only a 52-man roster and you can't add 7, 8 people like long term.
Yeah.
So honestly, with those first 2 picks, I mean, this is probably like a B plus A draft for me. Is it not for you?
I'll go B minus.
Really?
Yeah, I mean the Zach McPherson pick after Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Ronald Moore Stevenson, that killed it for me.
And nothing, like you're still fine with Devontae over Micah Parsons then too, right?
Yeah, I'm fine with it because I like Devonta Smith. But the reason why I wouldn't change it to an A is because we could have stayed in position to have Micah Parsons. So
I would agree. I'm going to still say B plus because you got 2 foundational offensive players for a long time in Landon Dickerson and Devontae Smith. So,
yep.
So yeah, I think that was kind of cool to do, just to take a look back at the draft, and I'm sure we'll be doing this in a couple years with the one last Thursday. See how that shakes out, right?
It's probably all right, we always get excited for these picks, but at the end of the day, only 1 or 2 works out. Let's be real.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what we just proved, right? Just did some mystery on.
Literally.
Yeah, it's more of like especially because of the draft now. Also, what do you think of the draft? I guess we can end on that. I know we want to talk about Jason Kelce a bit. What was your opinion of, like, how much did you actually watch the draft? Do you like the traveling from city to city? What would you change? Like, does anything need to change? What are your thoughts about the concept and how they do the draft? And how big of a deal they try and make it?
I don't like, I can't be against it because you know me, okay? I'm all about the whole American promise and dream and stuff like that. So I can't be against what they're doing with the draft and bringing it city to city. It's making the city a lot of money. It's making the NFL a lot of money. It's letting people from different cities watch their favorite players get drafted. I can't be against that. Usually I would say, keep it cordial, keep it the way it is, and keep it at one place, like at Radio City Music Hall. But the more and more I think about it, it's American. You make money, spend money, see your favorite players. I'm all about it. I think that's an A plus idea.
I would agree. It is pretty cool. I guess they'll end up probably going everywhere, every NFL team city, for sure. So that would be
cool. We came back to Philly. It's been 7 years already.
I mean, I don't know. I guess maybe they wouldn't. Where would they not go? Like where? Like Jacksonville? I can't see them doing Jacksonville, right?
Well, if they were still in Oakland, they definitely wouldn't do Oakland. Where wouldn't they do? Let me think. They probably wouldn't do. That's a good question.
I would say Jacksonville, right?
Think so? I went down.
When you have Miami and Tampa, you're gonna pick Jacksonville over them, right?
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, I don't know. No, I think they would go everywhere. Maybe Arizona because it's hot as hell out there.
I think that would be great there, though. I'm trying to think of like a smaller market. Like they go to Green Bay. That probably I don't think they would go to Green Bay because like they want like hundreds of thousands of people there. That's my point too. I don't think they would do Green. you don't think they would do Green Bay. So
Yeah, it's like
interesting.
and the cool thing about the draft is like when I went, I didn't have to pay to get in. You know, some people will pay to get in, and I didn't have to pay to get in to watch the picks.
You hopped
So
the fence, right?
no. I went where the peasants were. I just sat there and watched the pick.
You were like an NFL sheep, an Eagles sheep, right?
Yeah, and I did one of those scam codes to the NFL trying to get into the theater, and I actually got into the theater on night number 2, round 4. So that was pretty cool.
No, that is dope for sure. Last thing I actually want to end with that I just thought of was Roger Goodell and Pat McAfee talking about the 18 game season. I've been hearing a lot this week that, he doesn't like the preseason games. Eventually, we're going to be playing 20 games, regular season games in the next, 10 years. Also, I want to get your thoughts. It's kind of a lot to unpack. We only have 10 minutes left, but I don't know. It's very interesting because the only thing that I really have a problem with right now, obviously, there's a lot of hypocrisy with player safety and adding more games, number one. But I like to think of it also from a competitive standpoint and just like a fan viewership thing, that I'm still not a fan of how the playoff system works right now, how there's one bye for the number one seed. And then that 7th seed and 2 seed matchup is so lopsided.
Yeah.
But I don't want them to add 8 teams to go back to, 2 first round buys without an expansion team or like adding more teams to the league, because then it kind of waters it down. Because if you have 8 of 16 teams, like other sports leagues, make the playoffs, it's not as prestigious.
Yeah.
So I think this all kind of goes together with playing more games, possibly adding new franchises, aka London at some point, because that's been rumored and being tested with the Jaguars. And then how do you feel about the playoff structure? And then the NFL is king. It's so special. It's never going to die. It makes the most money everywhere. But is there a possibility for oversaturation? Like, I know I'm throwing a lot at you here, but they've taken over Christmas now from the NBA. They said, bye basketball on Christmas. We're here. We're coming. We're the king of Christmas now. We don't care if it's a Thursday, Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday. We're putting our games on. Everyone's going to watch us now. Like, you don't even hear about the NBA on Christmas anymore, literally. So what are your thoughts? There's a lot of different business moves that this league is going, and I definitely want to talk about this more in the future now that the Eagles season or the moves have died down. Just give me a quick little recap on your thoughts.
Well, to answer your question, yes, you did throw a lot at me, but to answer your question about the saturation, the NFL can never be oversaturated, because if there's a game on TV, it could be the 2 worst teams in the league. I'll tune in and watch it. You can't say that about baseball. You can't say that about basketball.
Especially with sports betting now.
Exactly. If it's football, I want to see violence. I want to see someone get hit hard. So, if I'm having a bad day at work or whatever the case may be, I'll turn it on, and all of a sudden someone gets fucked up. I'm going to love watching it, and I think a lot of people can a lot of people have the same opinion and share the same thoughts. So obviously you don't want to see someone get really hurt and like end their career, but anytime you turn on the TV, it's like a gladiator sport. It's like watching the UFC, but you're not punching, you're just like hitting people with ruthlessness, and that's what I love about it. So to answer your question, it's not going to be oversaturated ever, in my opinion. I do think them going to 20 games, your second thought, I do think them going to 20 games is a little bit overkill, especially
what about 18?
I even think going to 18 is a little bit overkill. I think these players' bodies need to be kept up a little bit, right? Like even in a 16 game season, like they were like near death's door. Their bodies are aching, their bodies are quaking. They play Monday, they play Thursday nights now. Like it's like, I know it's all for like ratings, but at the end of the day, everyone's human. And if you're playing on Sunday, especially late at night, and then you turn around and play on a Thursday night, that's tough. That's not easy. And I think if they add 18, 19, 20 games, you're going to have to look past the money aspect for a little bit of it, and you're going to have to see the health of these players. And a majority of these players, they're going to see for the future, see for their kids, and they're not going to develop their kids in the game that they love because they know how hard it is on their body, and they're not going to want their kids to go through that as well. So I don't think it's a good idea for them to add on to it. Hell no.
Gotcha. Last question I just thought of, and I know I threw the expansion team at you and the playoffs, what you think about the playoff seeding, but what I've really realized, especially with the Eagles last year, the schedule means a lot. Like when we had that murderer's row, and we were, gassed again. There's so many excuses or reasons why the collapse happened. But let's just say we didn't play, the Chiefs, Niners, Cowboys, Bills, Dolphins, whoever it was in that 5 or 6 game stretch.
Yeah.
Like that matters. And it matters again. Do I have a Thursday game? Do I have 2 Thursday games? When's my bye week? Like it really does. It's definitely a competitive advantage. Now, obviously, cream rises to the top. Look at the Chiefs. I mean, so there's not as much merit to that.
Yeah.
But, I think that these things are being revealed more now and like kind of like what the NFL does. Obviously, we're still fans thick and through, but it is a business at the end of the day. And I'm interested to see how they move in the future because this is one of the most powerful corporations in the world, especially now with them expanding to, the Brazil game. So yeah, it's definitely interesting because they just keep getting bigger and bigger, and with that comes more power and power. So it's just like, I'm just interested to see what they do next and how they balance everything that they do.
Well, it's a risk taken it somewhere like Brazil, which is a main soccer country. It's like American football in the past 10 years. I remember growing up in high school where Brazilians or anyone European, they wouldn't necessarily hate American football, but they would hate on it. Like they would make fun of it. And if you take that somewhere where people are known to make fun of it, it's like how much is it going to succeed unless you really turn their opinions around? I honestly think that American football is the best game in the world. I watch soccer too, so I'm not a hypocrite. I think American football is the best game in the world when it comes to violence and balance throughout the game. A lot of people.
I would say emotion too, like making you emotionally invested, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, like, there are people out there that don't like violence, and people look at American football as a barbaric sport because the way these players build themselves in the off season as trucks and they go head first right into someone's chest. Like you saw like a couple years ago with DeMar Hamlin, he's laying on the field there for a whole night and people will get turned away from that because
soccer, was there no boxing in Brazil? Like was there like it's just
but you also know what you're signing up for when it comes to the UFC and boxing. Like you're fighting each other. The deaths can happen because you're getting hit in the face. But with football, you're just going for a tackle. You're not trying to knock somebody out. And in football, unfortunately, that happens because the impact of that hit being put onto a player is just second to none because they're so skilled, they're so strong, and they're so fast. So that could turn off anybody in the world because it is a barbaric sport to that sense, to where you don't know and you don't know what to expect. So I could see where it wouldn't work. But us Americans were sick, so we like that stuff. And I just don't see how it could work worldwide, if that answers the question.
As far as like making a team there or like just liking the sport in general.
Yeah, I mean, if you're really just trying to throw it in people's faces and get top dollar, then yeah, it could work because you could put it on anywhere and anyone will watch. But putting an actual team there, I don't think it would work, no.
What about a team in London?
Well, they've been there for years, and look at the two teams that associate themselves with London the most. You have Jacksonville, who it seems like nobody really cares about at this point. And the other team I was going to mention, I completely forgot. Who are the two teams? That's Jacksonville, and I think it's the Falcons that go there the most.
I don't know, but I think I looked that up before, but I can't. It's mainly the Jaguars. It definitely is mainly the Jags.
So if any team were to move, it would be the Jaguars, and the Jaguars don't even fetch popularity within their own state. So how are they going to fetch popularity in London?
It's definitely interesting. It's probably why they haven't done it yet, just because of all the numbers and, it's not a guarantee. And I think the NFL, they like guarantees. Like they play games on Thanksgiving for 100 years or almost 100 years now. And that, you know what I mean? And, the biggest thing that they changed was going to Thursday night football and then these international games. But they've obviously been successful. Obviously, or they wouldn't keep doing them when they keep going to more different places. But for me, it's just I really do not want to see my last point here before I don't want to see the playoffs go to 8 teams a conference unless they make more teams.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with it. Wouldn't make any sense to go and expand for the playoffs without adding any teams, like more brands and stuff like that. I just don't. I feel like the whole number 1 seed just getting the bye in itself is stupid. I think they should go back to number 1 and 2 seed. 2 teams deserve to be off, not just one. Like 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, they could duke it out wild card weekend. Let that happen. But just doing that for Reigns, making sure that you have a wild card.
How would that actually work then?
Wait, in what way?
Because you would have an odd amount. I guess so. If you have 7 teams right now and the 1st and 2 seed had a bye, how would that work?
You would have to make it work somehow. I mean, just eliminate. Maybe I don't know. Maybe give the 6th.
You have to go back to 6, or
how about this? Make the 6th and 7th seed duke it out, and then they get into the tournament, and then the 6th or 7th seed plays.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, because I think the 1 and 2 seeds should be off. I don't think they should have changed that. The 6th and 7th seed duking it out to get into the wild card round, I think would make the most sense because they're the weakest team to begin with.
But when are you going to play that game?
I would play that game.
See, these are all the factors.
Yes, I would play that game 2 days after the regular season ends. Make it the toughest road possible for the 6th or 7th seeds so they don't wind up in that spot.
All right, so if they played that game, they would probably have to play that Monday night wild card game then on ESPN.
Correct.
Right.
So to make sure that you don't tank or whatever you have to do to get into the playoffs and just sneak in, make sure that after that regular season game,
I don't know, but it's still not going to work because they're going to be. They would have had to play they have 2 days.
Yes,
it's tough. I know, but
it's tough. But that's how you don't want to wind up in that 6 or 7 spot. It makes it the hardest road possible to get in.
Because then you'd be playing 3 games in 12 days.
Yep.
If you win that's the dilemma. I think that's the dilemma that they're facing.
But if you win the Super Bowl off of that, you're a real champion, in my opinion.
It's just it's the health thing. I think that's really what it's going to come down to, why that idea probably hasn't happened yet, because it's not like the other sports where you can do a best of this series, a best of that series. It's a physical game. I mean, I don't think that playing, I don't think it's ever going to happen. I love the idea in theory, but for me, it would the only option would be add 2 more teams, or I would like to actually add 4 more to make it even. So then you would have 18 teams, a 34-team league. Yeah. And then you could go back to do 8 for each conference, 2 first-round buys, in my opinion. But
yeah, because I think these teams work too hard, and there's too many good teams in the league. Not great teams, but there's too many good teams to where I feel like the great teams deserve those bye weeks. And there's not just one great team to where you just have one seed. Like I think it's dumb. You're gonna tell me that like getting into the playoffs a couple of years ago that the Niners and Eagles both weren't deserving of that number one seed. Like they were both great.
No, for sure. And it's like you're really going to make the 2 seed win 3 games to get to, you know what I like? I don't like that either.
And
like
then
we have,
and then when
we
they
never get a break. We never get a break until if we make the Super Bowl, then we get a week, right?
exactly.
So.
And then when they got to Philly, Brock Purdy got annihilated. So maybe if they didn't have that extra game, well, he might have still got annihilated, but maybe his body would have held up a little bit better.
You never know. You really don't. But that worked out in our favor. So.
Well, I wish it worked out even more, but we all know what happened.
Yeah, that game at least, but.
Yeah. But
all right, guys, we got to run.
Just to finish your last point that you were trying to bring up,
sure.
Jason Kelce going to Monday Night Football. I like it. I mean, I don't like the network per se. I don't like him mixing it with Troy Aikman and Joe Buck. I think it's like mixing oil with vinegar. Well, oil with water. But I like him. He's a good personality. I think he'll do good things. Maybe have him join the Manning broadcast, not the Troy Aikman broadcast. But yeah, I think he'll do good things, and I'm happy for him.
Absolutely, I agree. I think it's a good fit. I would have preferred to see him on Thursday night doing commentary because I think that needs a little bit of a shot in the arm already. Because I think Al Michael is unfortunately getting a little past his prime.
Yeah.
So I would have loved to see Jason Kelce in the booth, but I think it's still a possibility in the future that he definitely could.
Absolutely. Well, another show in the books. Fly Like an Eagle podcast. This was a special Thursday edition. Go Sixers tonight. They win tonight. They take it to Madison Square Garden for Game 7. If they lose, season's over. So I'll be there in the building, standing room only, way up in the heavens. So that'll be a lot of fun. But every week we're here on Wednesday or Thursday, depending on our moods, I guess. And we'll be here throughout the year. It's a yearly show, and I cannot wait to get the season started, and it's coming up quick. So it's always a pleasure sitting right next to you, well, virtually next to you every week, and let's get this thing going.
Absolutely, guys. Go Sixers tonight, and we'll talk to you guys next week with more Birds news and NFL discussion in general, for sure.
All right, go Birds. Smash that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button if you're on Facebook, like the page, and we're gonna continue to grow this thing. See you guys later.